mayonayo.
Start talking. Look at my trousers.
Oh, I know. It's terrible.
Look at that. It's intense. Got these the other day.
Lint roller.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't believe how many things I've used.
Really?
Yeah, and they just keep going.
You could use that as kindling if you had half a brain in your nut.
Start a fire in here. I don't think I need one.
Pete, thanks for having us in your studio.
Oh, thanks for coming. It's not really even a studio, is it? It's like I tell people I have a studio, then I'm like, really, it's a garage. But then it's kind of like a writing room. That's what I like to call it.
Writing room is fair. I mean, it's got coving
Yeah, I know, right?
and a skylight.
Yeah.
So garage is not enough.
Doesn't
No.
do it justice.
It doesn't.
It's halfway between... It's a creative space.
It is.
There
I
we
like
go.
it.
I feel creative
I like
in
it
here.
a lot, yeah.
I'm
It's good.
creating right
It's got
now.
a very nice feel to it.
Yeah.
Can I ask you what that crossbar's for? Is that where you do your
Yes.
pull-ups?
Yeah, absolutely, because I'm that light.
You can't see that.
The
shot.
crossbar is for lights or for camera shots of one
Is that
being-
tube a light right there?
yeah, that is.
Is that
yeah.
a light? Turn it on
It's
for
like
me.
a red. How do I turn it on?
Oh, I've
No,
got
too
nothing
much.
to do
You've
too
done,
much.
Can't
you've
remember
done too much.
Where it's plugged in.
Forget
Right.
it.
Sorry.
Is that an issue in here?
Yeah, it's
Absolute.
when I created the space, I didn't make enough room for power. It runs separate power to the house, which is good.
Right.
But that is good, yeah.
Yeah,
It's always the same problem, not enough power.
yeah.
But you have visited our studio, so you know that we know what chaos means.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved your studio. I wish
Thanks,
I could
man.
have that space myself.
We
One
say
day.
it's ours.
Everything in our
Dream.
studio is held together by duct tape.
Yeah.
and-
Yeah, but
And hope.
we also enjoy this,
Yeah.
which I'll take a shot of later to
Yeah,
insert into the
brilliant.
thing. But
Yeah.
that is
Random bits of power that are propping up
Yeah,
things
that's
as
good.
a stand.
Yeah.
Bits from that case as another stand.
that's how you know this is actually a studio.
This is
I mean,
merch under here.
Very nice.
My merch
Yeah.
tab. So it's a real mess whenever I go out live.
Yeah. That's
It's good
really
though.
cool.
It's perfect.
It's perfect today.
And
Mm-hmm.
you can just open the doors and load straight into your car.
Yeah.
It's like
That is a dream.
direct. It's
Yeah.
almost like one room. When you've
really
got
That is probably the best design of the whole thing.
yeah.
I should have done a little mini ramp down from that one step as well, just to
Yeah.
disabled access.
Straight into
Yeah, don't get a ramp. Why don't you get a little lift?
Yes.
They did like
to the car.
yeah,
the
just
car boot.
no, just from the slip of the step
tiny-
down to the
Yeah.
concrete. That's too far.
Not
Too
even
far.
half. a
Relax.
foot, Yeah.
I was just wondering if anybody's been enjoying The Traitors.
I watched it.
Traitors.
Oh, yes.
Which platform is it on? At the moment, I've got Amazon Prime and nothing else. So,
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't have any TV license.
I'm so late to the party, but
It's
you're not even at the
BBC.
party.
No, I'm behind.
Okay.
I'm watching at the moment something about someone's Jack Ryan. I think it's
someone's
Tom-
Jack Ryan.
I can't
like
even
that
remember
show.
his surname, but anyway, it's based on a book.
Tom
Quite
Clancy.
Yes,
No,
that's,
is it?
I think so.
Wasn't that a video game?
No, books. No, Tom
Books.
Clancy was a game.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
was it?
thinking of,
Okay, maybe it's not then. This
It was a
is really
shooter
good.
game.
Anyway. It's
So
good,
yeah,
is it?
any TV thing, pretty much you've lost me.
Really?
If it's on anything like BBC.
So you're not a TV? Are you a movies guy? Do you like movies?
yeah, I do. But whether I've watched anything recently, that's sort of
What's your favourite? Wow, what a
Favourite-
horrible question.
a horrible.
Give me at
question.
least like a.
Okay, a film
Yeah.
I like as a feel-good film is probably something like Secret Life of Walter Mitty, because it's got great
Have you seen that?
soundscape.
I love the
Jose
soundscape.
Gonzalez.
I love that guy.
No.
He's showing us up.
Yeah, I know.
Who else? It's the first time I heard of Monsters and Men, the folk band, not the
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
like other band
Yeah.
that's similar. And
Yes, I do know that band actually.
I really like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Going
That's-
back a few years.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
I don't think I've seen that either.
No, I would recommend it.
Okay.
Yeah, it depends what you. I like kind of thrillers and dramas basically.
Yeah.
What about Shutter Island?
Haven't seen
Oh.
it.
Oh, man. We've got to find some common ground here.
Oh,
There is no common ground.
Mimo.
50-50
Yes.
for BBC's 50-50.
50-50, that's
No.
Bamzuki kind of vibes, isn't it?
Bamzuki? How old are you, Pete?
How old do you think I am?
I thought you were about my age.
How old are you?
Like
Do you know?
31.
Oh, I'm older than you.
Are you?
Yeah.
By a lot.
By about. I'm 39.
Are you really?
Yeah, I am, yeah.
I would never
No,
have
I
guessed.
wouldn't have known.
That's
Good.
Oh, that's
crazy.
really good.
So maybe
Cut
you,
that out of the.
you might be too old for Bamzuki even.
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably.
maybe.
You were
Probably.
like, what were the kids' films shows when you were growing up?
Oh, again, black and white TV.
Like, oh, Rosie and Jim.
The Moon
Yeah,
Like-
exactly.
like puppets.
We actually didn't watch a lot of TV growing up.
Did you not?
No, I was always practicing violin.
Oh wow.
Goodness
Okay, so you
sake.
play violin.
Yeah.
Do you still play it?
Not really, no. I've got a nice violin in the house in case one of my girls picks it up.
Yeah,
Nice
Yeah, we'll see.
legacy.
Yeah, it was a good purchase, 80 quid. And yeah,
It's appreciated, has it?
it has appreciated.
Has it?
Yeah,
I wish I had some appreciating assets.
I know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm getting old.
yeah,
Getting old.
I mean,
Don't care so much about
That's not
things.
old. That's fine.
no, that's fine. I
I
didn't.
feel-
I probably should have dialed down my level of shock, but it was more because of you look much.
Yeah,
I
no,
just.
I
I
do.
thought you were our age.
Yeah.
and you kind of are, but I just.
How old do you feel?
I feel I'm probably late 20s, early 30s.
That's
Do you?
good. It's a
Yeah.
good place to be.
I feel young. I am quite. Yeah, I actually feel fitter now than I was in my late 20s.
And if I may say, you look it.
Oh,
You didn't know him in his late 20s.
It doesn't matter. I just know.
Okay.
You can't look fitter than that. So
yeah, true.
I don't think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just.
go on then.
Oh yeah, we haven't. What this is? This is it.
Yeah.
No, this is the podcast.
I know it is.
Yeah, I mean,
Podcast shame, isn't it?
We'll talk about music, shall we? At some
No,
point,
no,
like
don't
we don't
bother.
really need to. Just talk about children's TV shows from the 90s.
Yeah.
I think that'll work. Pete, we want to know a bit about your story.
Yeah.
Like, so we know that bringing things right into the present, you're writing
Yeah.
a new album, you're working on a
I
new
am.
album, so we're going to
Yeah.
talk about that. But I also know from what you've put out about it so far that it's about some
Grief.
stuff that happened,
Yeah.
20, 30 years ago?
Yeah.
Almost
Well,
30 years
it
ago.
isn't. It isn't. No.
No?
It isn't. It isn't. It's
Okay.
about we do. Yeah.
Go,
okay, yeah.
jump in, please. Yeah, do it.
So we got a call a couple of years ago. We just had our second child, Adelie, born, who you just met. And I think it was probably 2 months after that, we got the call. My mother-in-law lives in New Zealand. My wife's from New Zealand. That she had been over here, come back, had to go through the whole quarantine thing because it was still COVID. And New Zealand
It was tight out there as well, wasn't
very
it?
strict. Like you couldn't get in and out very
Mhm.
easily. So you have 14 days quarantine, which then got reduced to 7 days in hotels, isolation. Really, I've done it and it's not fun. And yeah, she got really ill and found out she had cancer and had a few months to live. So we somehow managed a couple of months later to get out there again, go through the whole isolation thing and spend a couple of months with her. It was really quite intense.
Right.
But during that time, I just had a bit of headspace to kind of, apart from a bit of homeschooling, do a bit of music as well. So,
And that was
mother-
2021 or 2020? Because
Oh, goodness me, it's
previous to
24 now, isn't it? So
Yeah.
it's
We're in
21.
21,
Yeah.
because you put an album out in 2020.
2020, I had an album. Then I had an EP in 21,
Uh-huh.
which was actually released while I was in quarantine, as we just moved out there. We were going to do an album launch party here in Cambridge, and obviously everything changed. So
Yeah.
I released it while looking out at the Sky Tower in Auckland, which, if you've never been to Auckland, it's the highest point in Auckland. Yeah, it was
I thought he was going
really.
to say the world, so I was
and
underwhelmed.
yeah, that would be amazing.
Then I remembered that's probably Everest.
Everest,
Yeah. That's on me, I'll tell you that.
So yeah, and then there's been this long gap of nothing, partly because I've been processing
Right.
stuff.
Yeah, wow.
So I wrote half what I felt was going to be like a little 4 or 5 track EP project that would be on kind of loss and then move on.
Yeah.
So wrote all that out there kind of in real time, pre-grief, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And then about 6 months after she died and after kind of coming back here and being back to normal a bit more, although you can never be back to normal really, I started writing my reflections on that. And then I was like, oh, this is going to be an album, not an EP. So yeah, interesting, really, really interesting writing from those two different perspectives.
Yeah.
Some of the most, I've never cried in the studio before, and random words and lyrics that kind of just set me off straight away, which is really, so it's been very emotional.
Yeah.
But good, very
Yeah.
good. It's been like therapy for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're recording at the moment?
Yeah.
How's it going?
It's been hard. It's been, I was saying to you earlier, it's been really, how would I describe it? there have been so many issues with just practicalities, the way we've gone about recording it, some bits remotely. But it's going well now. I feel like the songs are strong.
Yeah.
Which is the key, really, is do these songs say what they're saying, and they do. And I feel like we're trying new things out for the Pyramid Park sound, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And trying not to just regurgitate the same thing again and again. I'm a big kind of, as I'm getting older, I'm a big advocate for trying to push into new territory and not just replicating
Getting
the
stuck
same
in loops.
thing. You do, and you know what works.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you know sonically, well, if we did this and this, we
Yeah.
could just tweak this, and then it's like part 2 of that album or that project. So this is not part 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you feel like, because I know that could easily come across as like that's going to be a super heavy
Not
album.
at all.
How does it feel?
It is and it isn't.
Yeah.
Like there's definitely some super heavy moments.
Yeah.
Because
It reminds me a bit of, not sorry to jump in.
No.
When we spoke to Governor B, Isaac, at that podcast we did or whatever,
Yeah,
it was just
Stable.
after he had released his album, which I can't remember the name of.
Hands Are Made for Working.
Yeah, Hands Are Made for Working.
Yeah.
Which was like about his dad
Yeah.
passing away.
Yeah.
And there was some such heavy stuff on there.
Yeah.
Like, and but it was actually one of my favorite. Like, it's my favorite thing he's ever done.
Yeah.
Because of that, and like, I think it's so cool that you were able to write during that. Like you said, as a therapy, I think for him it was the same thing, and the songs that come out of it are like they hit hard. You know.
Yeah, and I think it's a real mix. I've tried, for some songs, I've really tried to... I tend, in my writing process for a project, to go do the intimate songs first and then figure out what's left.
Okay.
And then what do we kind of need, and do I need to bring in a couple of co-writers to kind of help me lift this thing a little bit. So that's generally and I'm happy with that approach. I'm like, just go to that place. There's a lot more song story kind of stuff going on as
Right.
well.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
telling the story of it all.
Okay.
There's like a pre-song before we even knew about this stuff. So yeah, there's
Right.
Yeah.
so it is heavy in points,
Yeah.
but it's not depressingly heavy, I don't
Okay.
think,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
my opinion.
Yeah.
But others may disagree with that.
Yeah. Okay. And you're recording, like, you do you have a guy up in Scotland?
Ian
yeah,
in Glasgow.
who you've done all your stuff with.
all my stuff with him.
Nice.
And we just have a great rapport.
Yeah, because the sound is all like, I mean, we've listened before obviously, but we listened again on the way up here. And the thing we always say is the sound is just a great sound. Like,
Yeah.
the production is really
Thank you.
strong,
Yeah.
and you sound like you, and you sound like an artist, and it's, I think that's how what separates you in this space, and I think makes us connects us with you in the sense that we kind of both don't do CCM,
Yeah.
and we try to, maybe it's not a try thing, but that's just where we go naturally, is to make stuff that's not in that
Yeah.
genre particularly.
Yeah.
And so I assume for you this is a similar thing. It's just
Yeah, you're always looking for partnerships, I think, and production is like one of those like essential partnerships.
Yeah.
And I've worked with a few different people. I'm not particularly technical, so songwriting is my main thing, I think.
Yeah.
And I just love it, and will probably do it for as long as I live. But so I needed to find someone who was technical but would really complement that kind of other side as well. And Ian's really good at, he really can follow his nose with the production, and he challenges things in me, and I'm like headlines kind of guy in his details. So we kind of work. And so sometimes, there'll be songs that we will disagree on, and he'll be like, that song, I'm not sure it's strong enough to make the project. I'm like, no, that song is the project.
Oh, wow.
We just need to find a way to make it better so that it becomes like a song called You Got Me. We nearly, everyone who played on it wants to get rid of it. I'm like, no, that's the first track on the project.
Do you know, that's funny though, because I think that's probably a really good mindset to have going in, because we would probably be the opposite in terms of like, if either one of us kind of thought like this isn't it, I don't think we would give it enough of a chance.
No, probably wouldn't. No.
We're quite brutal in the sense that we probably expect our songs to sound too much like a song too early on.
Yeah.
And it's just been written and it's just been demoed, and if we don't love it at that point, we can be a bit cutthroat.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it onto a project.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also think there's like sometimes songs just have a chunk in it that works,
Yeah.
and you've got to find
Yeah.
where it fits with
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know how you find, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
so I'm like I'm ruthless, but I won't show anyone that stuff before
Sure.
You're committed to it as
like
an idea.
50 songs per album kind of writing.
Is that really what you do?
Yeah, often, yeah.
Blimey.
That's so different. Though,
It
isn't
is really different.
And
Yeah.
then-
So.
Cut it down to 10 or 15. That,
50
Like-
recorded like demos.
like voice notes,
Right.
or I have a process where I will, if it makes it onto the hard drive,
It means you like it.
it means it's okay.
Yeah.
Like that's part of the 50.
Yeah.
Okay.
Voice notes are like
Okay. Yeah.
hundreds.
Yeah.
But it's got to be like a pretty much a finished song.
So how many? If you're in a writing phase, like
Yeah.
how many songs? Like how long would that process take? Are you writing like every day? Do you do it in like
no,
a?
I'm a chunk. I always chunk things up. So if I know if I'm writing an album, I need to know I'm writing an album and
Yeah.
be like, okay, I need to write 30 songs in 30 days, basically,
That's your mindset.
Yeah.
And then cut that down to 10.
and then cut it down to like,
So different.
have I got enough?
Mm.
Right.
Because I don't write regularly. I love to write every week, like 2 songs a week or something like that. But that's not real life.
Yeah.
So how can I compensate this? So every time I write, I have to get rid of all the kind of crappy songs first.
Right. Yeah.
That takes about 5 or 6 songs
Okay.
before I'm like, okay, don't like any of that. But at least I know I'm writing regularly now to be able to write the good stuff. So yeah.
Do you find you get stuck at points where it's like, okay, I've written 25 and I really need to squeeze 5 more out? What, like, do you have those dry spots? Because you've obviously set this time aside.
I used to, and not so much now.
Yeah.
Just because I kind of very quickly, if I don't like an idea, I'm like, move on.
Yeah.
You don't want to waste time on an
I know,
average song.
yeah.
And I know like it's up to people listening to tell you whether it's average or not. But
But it's a lot of effort to gamble on it. If you think that it's average, then to go through with it, to record it, to finish
Yeah.
writing it, and then to put it out,
Yeah.
feels like too much of a risk
Yeah.
to just be like,
Definitely.
feels
I
like
think
the
that's where
average.
Ian's really good for me, because he'll be like, okay, what's your short list? But he knows I've got a load more. So for this project, he's been like, okay, we need to then work out, are there any gold in the other bits? And there were 2 or 3 that I was like, no, they're done. And he was like, no, use that. But like there's a little like a post song at the very end, which is very like lo-fi and pretty much recorded live, that we've added on as kind of like, it's not one of the 10, but it's kind of like the old days of like CDs with like the bonus track.
Little
It's that
Easter
kind
egg
of
at the
feel.
end.
No Easter egg.
So yeah, so there's things like that, and I wrote a couple of extras to kind of fill the album out first, then to cut them out, but have half the production done for maybe it's a single for some other project. It just doesn't feel right for that project.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. That's
Do you feel like there are downsides to that sort of approach to the process? Because like I would say I'm the opposite. So like I the idea of writing 30 songs and cutting it down to 10 is so foreign to me, because writing 30 songs might take me 3 years.
right.
I just couldn't do that. So like the positives of my approach are I don't tend to waste a lot, but the negatives are I sweat over the song for too much time, or I just don't make progress.
and also we don't have like a pool of songs.
Yeah, we don't have that.
I think it'd be so common if you asked any kind of artist in our situation, like, where's your like bank of songs that we could just pick one out and record from?
Yeah,
We
it wouldn't
literally don't
exist.
have that.
No.
And that's so there are obviously pros and cons to either
Yeah.
side of like different ways of doing it.
Do you find there are pros and cons to that as a sort of process?
I think
Or are you just super fast? Are you fast? Do you write songs fast?
I've got faster. I didn't used to be at all.
What does that mean?
2 hours.
Okay.
But it's only lyric and melody. It's not like
But for the whole
production.
track?
But yeah, I could write a song in 45 minutes probably.
Dude.
But it won't necessarily be my best. But I know I can do that. I know I can sit down and be like, write a song about this subject and just go.
Wow.
And there'll be a good pre-chorus in there and a chorus at least, or a pre-chorus and verse 2 or something. So yeah.
Do you then reuse parts? So if you've
Yeah.
got a bridge or a verse that you like and it didn't make it through,
Yeah, I'll have it kind of in a different folder.
Yeah.
I have like levels of folders that I just, it's like a funnel, and like go back down. Sometimes like, that's definitely delete now. But I don't know. I've certain co-writing relationships I've got with people. I've just, like Fairs, who I've written quite a few tracks with, we just sit down for an afternoon and we'll finish something.
That's cool. I'm jealous.
Yeah, maybe we should write together.
Yeah, I think I do. It's one of the things that I've never done.
I'm just really cutthroat with myself about it and be like, no.
Yeah. But you know what? One of the things that's held me back from that concept of co-writing has been, I think, because I am slow. I've always felt like it would be so stop start and so stale as an experience for the other writer, because I'm so like I sweat over the lyrics for too long, and then it would just lose all momentum and it just wouldn't be a good experience. That's like how I feel about it, and I think that's put me off doing a co-write. I think part of me has assumed that other people would be the same. So you put two of those people together and it's just going to be like a funeral in that room. It's like not much happening. And like I think that's always why I've been like scared of the idea of co-writing, because I would be like, what if I don't have any ideas right then, or
that's
something?
Okay,
you know what I mean?
I think honesty is really important. I don't love co-writing with many people. I have to really trust the person before getting into it, because I think I've been in too many sort of like, we should write a song together. I'm like, yeah, we should, and then it never goes well. Like, so you have to really. I think I try and be more honest with myself and brutal with myself.
What do you mean about
my own stuff?
Okay.
So if I bring something to someone, like, I think that what helps me in the co-write is...
So you bring something into a session always?
I would generally say, I've got this idea,
okay,
and here's some lyrics, or I've got this, like, or this is how it would sit in the project. So it'd be like, so with Fairs for this last project, it was, okay, I've got these 15, 20 songs, but they're all kind of slow or mid-tempo. I need something that's upbeat. I need something that says this, and this is what these other songs say, so we don't need to talk about that stuff. We just need to kind of write a fluffier version of the overall theme of the album. And so lyrically it's like quite a lot of repetition, there's a nice hooky pre, there's a nice hooky chorus, and we're not sweating over making that song, kind of overdoing that song, because the purpose of that song is 2 minutes 15 and it's just overarching. Whereas other songs are like, I'm the only one who can write that because that's my lived experience. And I think it's kind of working out what a co-write looks like. Sometimes a co-write is someone's got a track they send me and I just do the top line and effectively cut up the track to how I want it to feel, completely rewrite it sonically later on, but that has given me the kind of impetus to kind of write the lyric on top. So
nice.
Yeah, it just depends.
Nice. It's really interesting because it's.
I think a lot about it.
Yeah. Do you think? First, well, my next thought is: do you have like at least an idea of when your album's going to be ready?
I don't.
No idea.
This year.
This year.
Yeah.
And do you want to play it live? Is that an ambition for you? Or
yes,
you do.
But the right live experiences probably.
Okay.
I did a couple of house gigs last weekend.
A band or just you?
Two of us, so
nice.
Drums and guitar. One was in York, my sister's house. They've got a good community there. My brother-in-law plays piano really well, so he jumped on a couple of songs.
I saw a clip online.
Yeah, it was really cool. And that was a good tester for like 3 new songs to see, does this have legs live?
Yeah.
So I would love to tour loads, but we all know
what that's like.
Yeah.
Well, it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, financially, or you need to have 2 of 3 things, in my opinion, playing live. Like you need to have either grow a fan base in some way, shape, or form, grow a connection, or get some money from it. Those are the 3 keys. Of course, there's the extra of calling and sense of like purpose, but unfortunately, a lot of you've got to have those practical things met as well.
Because when the mortgage comes through, you can't pay it with like calling.
It's really like, and people
shame.
don't necessarily understand that when you say it to them, like, it just doesn't fit. Well, the reason it doesn't fit is because it doesn't tick 2 of those 3 boxes. But I would like to play it live in the right setting.
Nice.
I'm not too precious about how many people, but more just it's got to feel good.
Yeah. Nice. Exciting. Okay, well, we'll have to do something in 2025 maybe, if you're going to put something out this year, because we already booked one show, so that means that's all we can
us
do
for
this
this
year.
Yeah, one show.
Are you one a year now?
Apparently. Like,
That's pretty much all we can handle right now.
I
so.
think honestly I feel like sort of 4 a year is a sweet spot,
Yeah.
like,
But
because
that is
You want to be
ambitious.
busy in the summer.
yeah,
Have a nice autumn one.
Yeah.
A nice spring one.
and maybe a festival, and like
A
it,
couple of festivals.
yeah, like so you don't have to do all the work.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that's my favorite.
Festivals are great.
It's
for, like,
stressful,
crowd of it,
like
but it's-
selling tickets for your own show.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
so hard.
it's like
Yeah, Camden Assembly, 23rd of March.
Make
close
sure
to that kind
come
Really
along.
close, yeah.
It's filling a room and then
Yeah,
earning from
yeah.
yeah.
the night.
But it's
To be
just
honest,
breaking even, mate.
We're,
Yeah.
we're at
Yeah.
a point where it's like, well, if we can fill the room, I almost don't care if we,
Oh, I don't care at all.
Yeah.
because it's like, and that would probably be a very wise thing to do as a band, just to actually have some idea of like, how are we going to manage this financially. But for us, it's like, it's so infrequent that it's like, actually, we just kind of want to play. Like, we
Yeah,
haven't
we just want
played
to play.
a show in so long. We haven't had the opportunity to kind of like develop a show.
Yeah,
And so just the opportunity is
it's
But
fun, isn't
it's
it?
exciting.
It
about
is fun, and there's nothing like it
Yeah.
when you have a genuine connection in the room, when it's the right. When we did that gig near you,
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
there was a connection in the room. It was worth doing.
Yeah,
Absolutely
yeah.
worth doing it.
yeah.
But you know,
It's not always like
that.
they're not always like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think like again, it's just keeping. Like, I think we've always had from the beginning a vision of our a band that's going to be like primarily a recording
Yeah,
band, and you want to, but then you get to a point where, and I certainly, I don't know about you, but when I'm writing a track, I the ones I feel like I really connect with are the ones that I feel like would be really good live often.
Uh-huh.
And so like there's always that part of you that's like that you're writing it as a record, but there's this intention behind it to be like, yeah, but
yeah.
what's that going to feel like in a room? That's going to be great, and that's that excitement. So having the chance at least a few times a year to kind of make that a reality is
That's really
motivational
interesting.
for me at least. Like,
So I spent 2018-19 pretty much touring one album,
yeah,
and I knew there were holes in the set because there just wasn't enough, especially in festivals, wasn't enough upbeat kind of anthemic
yeah,
songs.
yeah,
And then I wrote Not an Island, an album, and that was with all these festivals in mind as I was writing. I'm like,
Right, yeah.
need some bangers,
Yeah, yeah.
need some tracks that are just going to
Yeah.
be more upbeat,
Yeah.
and it really helped the mindset of writing. So yeah,
right, yeah, that's interesting.
totally agree with you.
Yeah, nice. Okay, well, I'm aware of time.
Yeah.
I don't want to take people.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you want to say anything
You
else?
can ask. It's good conversation.
It's fun,
It
but
is, yeah.
we don't want to abuse you. Paul, I mean, poor old Pete gave us a 4:00 deadline, and we've already passed that.
Yeah,
so-
we have. We were
Carry on,
like set
carry
up
on.
by 10 to 4 pretty much.
Yeah.
Carry on. This is interesting.
So I wanted to ask you then, being a kind of indie artist, have you felt? Do you feel let down in any way by the Christian music industry?
I don't know, because I think there's a lot of good people doing a lot of good things, and so you just have to like what you find your own lane, I think. And I think maybe what we have always been told, not necessarily specifically, but we've kind of, the assumption is there's either you make it or you don't. But I think there's this whole like long tail of artists who have just created always, and sometimes that's got more exposure, sometimes it hasn't. I don't know whether that's, I think I'd feel let down if I was involved in a contract or something that went south, but I've not had that experience. You have wins and you have losses, but that's different. So I wouldn't say I feel let down, but I do think I sometimes see other artists and I'm like, wow, they've got something about them, or they're carrying something, or their songwriting's really sharp. And I'm like, I wish they would have more exposure. And why are they not? And I guess it's a risk, isn't it? Taking risks on
and
artists.
like I think if there is an area in which I feel not let down personally, but disappointed in the Christian music industry, it's in the area of risk taking.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I know artists as well who like, I think, why would you not back that?
Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah.
to me, and it's like, yeah, it's a risk, but surely it's a risk worth taking if you really believe in in A, building a culture, and B, pushing a piece of art that you think is going to be beneficial for people. If it's something you believe in, I think you should be willing to take a risk. And if it's something you say you believe in, but you're not willing to back those people, that's where I feel like it is disappointing. And I'm okay saying that. I think like that's fair, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I think also I think that the music that does well in the Christian world is very obviously like worship, which makes sense. But I think this is just a separate frustration now, so just kind of venting. But I feel like sometimes that lack of risk taking just means that we end up with a genre of Christian music.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that genre.
No.
Like worship music is obviously very popular with a lot of people for a very good reason.
Yeah.
But it means that then those artists who are expressing like a Christian message through different genres, through different sounds, don't get picked up. And so you kind of end up with just one sound for Christian music. And so that's where people like yourself and I think in the States people like King's Kaleidoscope and others haven't necessarily had the recognition I'd expect, because I think, well, this is just Christian music that's really, really good. But because it doesn't sit in a particular category, it doesn't necessarily get picked up.
Yeah.
And that's maybe just a category issue in our country as well, in the Christian music scene, where we don't fit in a category.
Yeah, and it's trying to work out, like, is it because there isn't a market for it and we're not doing a good enough job?
Yeah.
Or is it something else? Like there is, and it's just that people aren't taking risk in backing it. I'm not sure what the answer to that is, and I'm open to the answer being we're just not good enough yet.
Yeah.
Like that might be the answer. But certainly that's not true of all artists, because I look at King's Kaleidoscope and I think they are elite. Not among Christian artists, but among artists.
Just in music.
I believe that.
Yeah.
And they are doing quite well, but not as well. Like the music's insane, man.
Yeah.
And the writing's insanely good. And you just think, I don't know, where are the listeners? But I don't know the answer to it.
Yeah, it's development as well, I think, and time and obviously money to invest in. You know, if you want to have a really good live show, you need a certain amount of capital to make it good, and to go alongside with the talent of the artist. And that's probably a challenge for a lot of independent artists. I think for me as well, I try and not think of Christian music industry type phrases. You know, I'm very much like, I'm a Christian who creates.
That's a great.
I feel more and more like that. Yeah.
And that really helps me not be too bothered about, well, am I in or am I out? It's not really about that. It's about, here I am, let's put some music out and see what happens with it.
Yeah.
And I've seen, you know, where some tracks have gone and when it's been shortlisted on things that you're like, okay, so this cuts through, it's just not not cutting through enough. So I think you get to a place where you accept certain things as well and respect certain things. You know, there's some people who own that space, rightly so, because they are kings in that arena. And I'm not.
And you can't argue with the result, like the streams.
I can't argue with that, you know. So and I'm happy with that. I feel content in myself. But what I would feel discontented about would be, if that's a word, discontented.
I think so.
Sounds
discontent about.
Discontinued.
If I wasn't true to the season of life that I was writing in, probably. And if I felt I was writing if I was trying to write the next church banger, I would know deep down there was a different motive to perhaps in myself, and that's just me. I can't talk about anyone else because people write incredible music.
So when's your cover of In Christ Alone coming out?
No answer.
Didn't answer. He's left the door open.
I think it's a dropping imminently.
I'm not saying anything.
I think it's very soon is what that means.
Very soon.
So
Christmas single.
Let us know, for those who are listening and have listened to the end of the podcast, which is about 3 or 4 people.
Thanks.
Not because of you, because of us, by the way.
Well,
I don't know why you give us such a bad rap.
Because I want to know how people can support you, where to find you, like how does one support Pyramid Park?
Well, it depends what you want to do, but you can always follow on socials, which is great. It's a good starting point. But if you want to get a bit more involved, then I have a mailing list. There's links on socials for that. If you want to get a bit more involved than that, then buy some merch from my store. If you want to get more involved in that, join my Patreon. You know, there's layers.
If you want to get more involved than that,
Well,
you can borrow my trousers.
turn up at my house. No.
But you know, people always say, "Oh yeah, I'll follow. I like your post or whatever." Yeah, great. You know, it doesn't really do much. Just be honest. But at least if you're on a mailing list, you get a bit more of like direct stuff from me, and you know, you can find out ways to
Write
get
that down.
involved.
We need to make a mailing list. Carry on.
Yeah, that would be what I'd say to start with. So I've got a website, pyramidpark.net, and yeah,
Nice.
join there
Nice.
if you want.
And just like, if you are new to Pyramid Park, then we would just say first listen to the music, because that's the way
That's
you're
what
going to
it's
buy
about.
in. Like, like just buy into the tracks, and then I think the rest will follow. You know what I mean?
Hopefully.
Yeah. Well, it's been lovely to.
Yeah,
have a chat.
thanks for coming to Cambridge.
Thanks for having us.
No, it's been
we've
fun,
rocked
like-
up and taken over your studio, so
Yeah.
appreciate
Yeah.
it.
No, we appreciate it. Thanks for having us.
Pleasure.